Magic Spoon is the key to having a delicious breakfast and staying healthy. No grain, no gluten, 0 grams of sugar, 4 to 5 net grams of carbs, 13 to 14 protein grams, 140 calories per serving. I've talked about them in the past, but recently I tried some new flavors and they're even better. Honey nut, maple waffle, and cinnamon roll each have a unique taste that I fell in love with. Click the link below to get some Magic Spoon cereal today. Use my code GEEKDOM for $5 off with a 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't like it, they'll refund you the money. Ships anywhere in the US, Canada, and the UK. You gotta try it today. Fasten your seatbelts. Fast and Furious 10, the 10th movie in the Fast and Furious franchise. Technically the 11th if you count Hobbs and Shaw. I went to go see it today. Welcome to my non-spoiler review of Fast 10. Now, I'm going to let you know right now, I will not be going into spoilers, but I'll be discussing in my spoiler review, whenever I put it up on the channel, I will be discussing in detail what I liked and did not like about this movie. This film is directed by Louis Leterrier, who also directed Transporter 2, along with a number of other over-the-top action movies. And of course, the Fast and Furious franchise, since Fast 5, has been getting more and more over the top. And boy, speaking of Fast 5, does Fast 5 not have a looming presence in this film? Fast 5, of course, my favorite Fast and Furious film. Almost a perfect movie, if you ask me, as far as for this franchise goes. But Fast 10... All right, let's see. Where do I start? First and foremost, this is the best Fast and Furious movie since 6. This movie is loaded with tons and tons of surprises. There's about 7 or 8 twists in this film. And yes, not only is there a cliffhanger, this movie has like 3, 4, 5 cliffhangers. Like they literally crammed in the last, maybe including mid-credit scene, the last like 6, 7, 8 minutes of the movie, surprise after surprise, shocking moment after shocking moment, all leading to this cliffhanger that will be followed up on in 2025 with the next one. Now that Vin Diesel confirmed they're going to do 3 of them, this is the first in a trilogy of movies to end this franchise once and for all. So, what did I love about this movie? First of all, and I'm going to just tell you right now, ensemble cast, tons of familiar faces return, tons of great character moments, but to me, the 2 guys that I think had the most fun, that I had the most fun with watching it, but who also had the most fun making this movie, easily John Cena and Jason Momoa. John Cena's character of Jacob Toretto is the complete 180 of what he was in Fast 9. I did not like Fast 9. I did not like that movie. They went way too far, and somehow it wound up being boring. Somehow it bored me. In this movie, John Cena does what he does best. Over-the-top muscly stuff and comedy. John Cena is so good at doing comedy. We saw a lot of that side of him kind of shine in The Peacemaker. This Jacob Toretto character is kind of like that. You could tell he was having a great time in this movie. The next person who I think carried the film without question, was Jason Momoa. My favorite villain up until this point was Owen Shaw from Furious 6. Jason Momoa, well, then Cypher kind of beat him in Fate of the Furious, even though she didn't do much in 9. However, Jason Momoa as Dante Reyes, the son of Hernan Reyes from Fast 5, out for revenge, easily the best villain of this entire franchise. People have compared him to the Joker. He really is like that. There's a lot of moments in this movie. Like, this movie was kind of a mix of like GoldenEye, The Dark Knight, Fast and Furious, maybe a little bit of like Mission Impossible 2. It was just every action trope you can think of. But unlike Fast 9, this one did not go over the top for me. This one had a lot of stuff that was over the top, but if you were to ask me, okay, where would you measure the over the topness? This one is closer to like 6 and 7. It doesn't go as ridiculous as the stuff in 8 or as completely insane as the stuff in 9. There are some things in this movie where I'm just like screaming bullshit in the movie theater. Not literally, but you know, in my own head. But it's not like where they went to space. They definitely toned it down and they did more creative stuff in this film. Dante Reyes is a phenomenal villain. He's sadistic, he's sociopathic, and most importantly, he's smart. The fact that, especially in Fate of the Furious, especially in that one, you've got Dominic Toretto being able to figure his way out of anything. In this movie, he's being outsmarted. And not only is he being outsmarted, the audience is. So you got to make sure you go into this film with no spoilers because there's so many twists. There are turns, there are things that I wasn't really expecting. You know, if you remember when I reviewed Furious 6, I talked about how Gina Carano's character twist, I saw it coming like early in the film, like when they teased it. Here, there were twists that were just hugely shocking. And what I love that they did in this movie is they harkened back to Fast Five because we saw scenes from Fast Five from new perspectives. In other words, they were cutting in footage from that film, showing us then other angles where characters were there that weren't really there in that movie, Dante Reyes being one of them. It's a simple story. He wants revenge. He wants to kill Dominic Toretto and make him suffer along with the family. Also, this is a very international movie. With the other movies, they went to Germany in one, they went to Rio, of course, LA, New York, Cuba, Dominican Republic, they've been everywhere. In this movie, they go to multiple places, everywhere from the Vatican to London, just all over the world, and there's still more to come. I'm still waiting for Dominic Toretto to drive his Honda on like the freaking Great Wall of China. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that in the next movie. But man, this movie was a thrill ride. Also, this movie is for the fans. If you're going into this and this is your first Fast movie, it's not a good idea. So don't take mom and dad to this one unless they've seen the other ones. You're not going to appreciate the surprises, the character moments. You're just not going to, it's not going to hit you. Like, this is the culmination. This is a capstone movie. This is like Infinity War. This movie is the Infinity War of the Fast franchise. If you haven't been keeping up with the other Fast movies, all like 10 other ones, including Hobbs and Shaw, when you get to this one, you're gonna be lost. Like, there's no way they introduce the characters here like what Fast and Furious did, the fourth one, where they kind of reintroduce everybody. That's not what happens here. Here, you have to know. You have to know. So it really is a capstone film, and it relies on not just your knowledge of the Fast franchise, but also your love of these characters and your love of the franchise. Look, Furious 7 and 8 were a step down from 6, and 9 was just, it went off a cliff, no pun intended, because that happened in that movie. This one, they kind of reeled it back a bit. There is, again, over-the-top stuff. There's giant bombs and technology that we just, quite frankly, don't have, unless the government's hiding it from us in this movie. But honestly, man, like, you know, it was a little bit more unrealistic than 5. Like I said, closer to about 5 and 6, I still was able to believe it, and not just that, but enjoy it. And let me tell you, man, the movie's nonstop. I mean, there's very few slow moments. There's a couple of good character moments here and there, things like that, but it is at a breakneck pace. And what they did, right, with this movie is, because the family is split up throughout a lot of it, you're basically following the family's different challenges and ordeals as they try to meet up at one. I'm not going to spoil it, but they try to go to one area. So you've got like one group over here dealing with this problem. You've got another group over here. You've got this person over here. So you got to follow 4 different plot threads. Now, at no point did I get lost. I was in for this movie. I was dialed in at 100%. You know, I was dialed in, and at no point did it get confusing at all. Like, Louis Leterrier edited this movie good enough to where cutting in between different things, it was easy to follow. It kind of reminded me of Revenge of the Sith in a way, you know, where that movie kind of has that long opening sequence and then things kind of go different ways and you have to follow different characters. Kind of like that. You know, Attack of the Clones did the same thing. Very much in that vein. But man, there was comedy in this movie. There was, you know, Tyrese was great. I mean, the whole cast is here, you know. Vin Diesel, Michelle Rodriguez, the whole crew. I mean, you know who the cast is. I don't have to tell you who that is, right? It's the family. And let me tell you, even though Paul Walker has not been with us for a long time, his spirit was all over this movie. There are multiple mentions of Brian. There are multiple times when he is discussed either directly or indirectly, right? And I'm not going to talk about it on this video, but there's something that they're building towards in one of these upcoming movies that I think we're going to get. I'm probably going to do a prediction video sometime soon discussing my predictions, what they're going to do. So I just, wow, I had a great time watching this movie. There were some characters that were a little bit underutilized. They did not have as much screen time as maybe they should have, but then I remembered this is only the first chapter of a 3-chapter story. In fact, one of the many cliffhangers has a very popular character saying he's going to go do something, but we don't see him do it. We don't see him do it. Like, it's literally like, and when I say cliffhanger, it's not like just a mid-credit scene, which there is one, which got spoiled to the internet. There is one, but the movie just abruptly ends with like things not looking good. It really had that Empire Strikes Back feel to it, and I'm extremely curious because in this movie they are definitely stacking the deck against Dominic Toretto and the family. Like you could tell that there were times when when characters were like, damn, maybe we shouldn't have stolen that money from his dad. You know what I mean? Maybe we should not have, led to him getting killed. You know what I'm saying? It just it flowed well. It made sense. Louis Leterrier is a tremendous filmmaker when it comes to doing movies like this. To be honest, I kind of like him more than Justin Lin. I think Justin Lin peaked with Fast 5 and 6. No disrespect to him. I think 9 was not very good. But Louis Leterrier picks it up well. Now, I will say this. There's tons of practical effects. There are a couple of moments in this movie that are CG, and you can tell they're CG. If I were to nitpick this, you can tell that it is CG. It's very obvious, and that's one thing that I did not like, is that they made it almost too obvious. Now, there are so many... The movie has so many sort of callbacks to other films. Like, if you've been watching the Fast movies, I would recommend doing what I did and watching them all again, building up to go see this one. If you don't have time, just go see it. But this movie not only has callbacks to events from previous movies, but there's little, little visual moments that are taken from other movies, like visuals. There's very subtle things. I don't think I would have enjoyed this as much if I had not seen the other movies in a while. Because I've been rewatching them and reviewing them with you guys, they're fresh in my mind. So I think it is worth doing that if you haven't already done that. Overall, bro, here's the thing. Let me just say this. If you don't like these kind of movies, there is some emotion in this film, but a lot of it was really pushed aside for the action. If you don't like the Fast movies, you probably aren't going to like this one. If you like them, you're going to like this one. If you like 7, 8, and 9, you're probably going to like this one. But even if you didn't like them, even if you're like me, where you liked 5 and 6 the most, which most fans seem to agree that the second trilogy, 4, 5, and 6, are the best ones. If you're one of those fans, you can come back to this one. You should come back to this one because they really kind of reeled it in and they gave us the absolute best villain. Yes, he is a combination of like the Joker mixed with like maybe the early Batman 60s, the 60s Batman version of the Riddler, the Frank Gorshin Riddler, lots of that. He's so entertaining and you could tell he was having the time of his life, bro. Jason Momoa had such a good time. He is not Aquaman. Whoa, dude. No, he's all over this movie, and I wanted more scenes with him. And I cannot wait to see what's going to happen in the next 2 movies whenever we get those. But peak. This movie is peak, and if the next 2 are this good, man, we're going to end this franchise legit strong. And I think it will be one of the greatest action film franchises of all time. I think it will be. I think by this point, we've kind of all bought into the fact that this franchise is what it is. It's not going to be as realistic as the first one or the fourth one at all, or even the first 4. But it's still decent enough. Like, there's some stuff that's over the top, obviously. But it's not as crazy as 9. 9, if 8 jumped the shark, 9, like, blew it up with a, torpedo. This one, little bit more realistic, but also equally crazy. As much, I hope that makes sense to you. Go see Fast 10, yo. This one's for the fans. It is for the fans. Go see it, and I will be back with my spoiler review very soon here on World of Geekdom. Leave a like, subscribe. I'll see you in that video very soon. What a fun time this movie was.